Following with our horror theme, I wanted to do an interesting matchup versus similar characters in horror, whether mythology, folklore, or fiction, right? And one that came to mind to me that I really enjoyed looking into was the Wendigo versus the Skinwalker. So if you like battles like this where horror matchups take place, smash the like button. 400 likes in the next horror battle like this one will drop. I also have a Hellraiser video coming because that hit the like goal as well. So stay on the lookout for that as we round out the end of October with nothing but horror themed content. But anyways, what makes this battle so interesting? Well, both are stories that have plagued the Americas for centuries. Both have been used to strike fear in the hearts of tribes throughout the Americas, as both creatures kind of symbolize great evil and what craziness can do to you. So, if these two evil spirit type beings and animal related monsters were to clash, who would win? Let's find out. First, let's go over the Wendigo. Now, the Wendigo is probably the more famous of the two. A lot of people on this channel probably know the name from like the character in Marvel Comics, but what actually is the Wendigo? Well, the Wendigo was actually used, fun fact, for a time as a psychological diagnosis, which is Wendigo psychosis. This was when people isolated, you typically in snow regions, would start fearing cannibalism and craving consuming humans. And this was apparently a real thing, prevalent 1800s, 1900s, and it plagued the northern parts of the Americas, Canada, and North America region. And when this occurred, typically what was seen with the Wendigos and is attributed to the actual, like, supernatural case, not the psychosis, was massive animal-like spirit beings. Sometimes, and some tribes portrayed them as almost ice-like beings, although several tribes do attribute an ice-cold heart to them. Typically, to me, this is just associated with their dark, evil nature, and they walk around consuming humans and plaguing them throughout the forest. Accounts of their size do vary, although I have not seen any accounts that put them at anything less than twice the size of humans, and typically they're the size of trees. Wendigos are vicious in nature, born out of the evil in the hearts and the selfish nature of mankind. And the Wendigo tale was typically used to derail any thoughts within the tribe of selfishness and, being a thief and being evil in times of struggle in the tribe. It would instead encourage them to band together, because if they messed around and became evil, they could risk becoming the Wendigo, the next Wendigo, and haunting their own people. In terms of what they bring to the table as potential combatants, obviously their massive size and physical prowess. They are sometimes attributed with weather manipulation and can bring even snow and blizzards, so that could greatly affect the battlefield. They are attributed as fantastic hunters and are well suited for their environment and know everything about their environment, which allows them to be very technically gifted hunters and strategists in places like the forest. And when it comes to weaknesses, sure, they can be taken down by regular means. It would be just obviously hardcore physical combat to take them down. Also, magical means can do so, as shamans are credited with defeating them in the past. And their weakness is if they don't feed, apparently they will die. Overall, Wendigo are some of the most popular American horror lore creatures for good reason. They bring a lot to the battlefield in terms of their physical prowess, hunting abilities, and weather manip, and are one of the most interesting folklore creatures to read about in horror. Moving on, who is facing them? We are putting them against another being that has terrified tribes throughout the Americas. And this, of course, is the legendary Skinwalker. What's a Skinwalker? So there's actually two branches of Skinwalkers that I found in my research, and we're going to ignore one of them and I'll explain why. One of them, and it's kind of obscure, is kind of like where skinwalkers are viewed as actually fallen angels and workers of the divine that were kind of left out of heaven and stay among the physical world now. Weird lore like that, I'm not using that because the other stuff is more what I grew up with and what I associate skinwalkers with. Now, the skinwalkers I'll be talking about, of course, are typically associated with former witches or users of dark magic, and they turn to methodology of dark magic that allows them to actually become one with beasts or creatures. Typically associated with their transformation would be stuff like foxes, bears, wolves, or coyotes. But all this gives them an animal-like power and gifts, makes them incredibly hard to kill. And due to their sinister nature, as they typically are, characters like shaman that used magic for evil and thus fell into the grips of evil, they go around doing hood rat shit. They go around causing plagues, sickness, death, and terrifying and haunting the tribes. The legends of the skinwalkers got so bad that it became almost stuff people didn't even want to talk about, because they're like, yo, they might hear us talking about them, show up, and mess our lives up. That's how crazy the legend of the skinwalker story is. In terms of what they bring to the table as combatants, obviously they are dark magic users. They have some weather manip, but to me not as consistent or as crazy as Wendigo. They can manipulate the senses, induce fear heavily. They are credited with inducing poison and disease and sometimes even death through magic. And some of the only ways really attributed with killing them fully is to use weapons completely covered in white ash, although that's never been confirmed to be an automatic kill. Overall, they are one of the scariest creatures in American lore, just like the Wendigo, and they do have some similar characteristics to the Wendigo that makes the battle interesting. For example, both of them are kind of attributed with the fall of man in terms of becoming too close to evil and too selfish. Now, if these two legendary monsters of history were to clash in a battle for the champion of the American horror scene, who would win? Well, it's an interesting battle, right? Wendigos are bigger physically, probably a little stronger. Should be. I mean, some of them are even credited with being bigger than trees. And they have really cool weather manip, which is cute and all. But to me, skinwalkers are on another level. First of all, Wendigos are more so attributed with actually being able to take them down, and they can even just starve to death. Whereas skinwalkers really only known means to actually hurt them would come through white ash weaponry. They also have poison and plague manip, which might hurt the Wendigo. They are known to possess and manipulate spirits, so while the Wendigo can do so as well, it kind of doesn't do it on accident. Like, people become the Wendigo more so than Wendigo just forcing itself on people, where we know skinwalkers typically are associated with soul manip, possession, all that. It could be theorized they could mess with the spirit of the Wendigo itself and even trap it or remove it, but not entirely sure that would be the case. But I am confident they are more durable and can withstand anything the Wendigo throws at it. And I think their dark magic hacks, like poison, plague, and death, would bring down the mighty Wendigo eventually. I believe the dark magic users, the legendary skinwalkers, would win this battle. Anyways, guys, let me know who you think would win. Do you think the Wendigo would win? Do you think the skinwalkers would win? Let me know in the comment section down below, and please let me know what horror battles you want to see to finish out the month of October. But anyways, guys, it's been your boy YFV. I had a blast doing this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.